Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, the crime critic. In this episode, y'all, I want to talk about a letter that I received from a grandmother out there. She was concerned about her grandson, maybe ended up in prison. She wrote me a letter talking about his family, his mother and father, how he was being raised, and some of the bad decisions that he had made or have made, and her fear that he may end up in prison. And she was asking me, is there anything that I could recommend that she do or give her some advice and, so that she can help him. And I decided to do an episode about it. She doesn't mind. And I'm hoping that he listens to it, his parents listen to it, and everybody else out there listen to it and get something from it. I'm going to be using a good friend of mine in this episode to explain what it's going to be like, what it would be like for him and any other juvenile if they came into the system. My friend Udon, he did an episode for me early on when I first started my podcast, and I think that he has a lot of valuable insight that only he could give, you know what I'm saying, as a juvenile offender. So Udon, introduce yourself, man, and then we're going to start this thing off.
Hey, what's up, y'all? First of all, thank you, Joe, for asking me to do this. My name is Udon Peñanavon, and I have served over 24 years of a 40-year sentence.
You did that, okay. And when you came into the system, how old were you?
I was 16 and a half, something like that.
Yeah, 16 and a half. Okay. Now, I think that's going to be important because, you know, people have to understand that coming into prison as an adult is challenging. You feel me?
Scary at the same time.
But coming into the system as a child,
yeah,
it has to be terrifying, right?
Yes.
But before we get into, you know, what you can offer to the show, let me lay the foundation about what she wrote me. She was telling me about her grandson, and from the time that he was like, I think it's somewhere between 6 or 8. I don't have this letter in front of me, y'all, so I'm trying to remember everything that she talked about. But somewhere around between 6 and 8 years old, his parents divorced. His mother is a teacher, his father is a police officer. Two professionals, but when they divorced, the father really didn't want anything to do with the son because him and the mother were beefing all the time. And the mother, she started dating a drug dealer. Surprisingly, you would think that a teacher, particularly somebody that was formerly married to a police officer, wouldn't go that far to the other side. But she started dating a drug dealer that was in and out of jail and whatnot, but she wasn't really involved in her son's life from that point on either. But he did still live with his mother, and he was basically raising himself. She didn't cook for him anymore. He would get his meals from his grandparents. If he called them and told them that he needed some money to go buy something, they would send him money and he would go eat fast food and stuff like that. They would take him the food. As he got older, became a teenager, you know, he would take himself a walk to the nearest McDonald's or Hardee's or something like that and get his food. But they were not hands-on. But one thing that they did do, the public face of the relationship was sound. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete, according to his grandmother. Plays baseball, football, and basketball. They were at all the games. They made it look as if, you know what I'm saying, that he was being raised properly. You know, and he conducted himself in public when he was around his parents the proper way. But behind the scenes, it was like nobody's there for him. So he really didn't develop that structure, get an opportunity to develop himself and nurture and grow within that structure that a child needs. So he's basically on his own. So when he became 15 or 16, I think that's what the letter said, he got into a relationship with an adult, a grown woman. Well, she's 19, right? He's 17 now, and she's 21 now. Yeah, so when they first started, he was 15 and she was 19, something like that, right? Something like that. No, 16. But anyway, they've been together for 2 years. She's 21 and he's 17. So, but they started out before that. But she has a child. She had a child when she first started messing with him. And they seem to want to point the finger at this young lady and blame her for their grandson catching a drug case. He had caught with a couple of sacks of marijuana. and got put on probation. And everybody's whooping and hollering and yelling at her, blaming her for the problems when I don't think that she's the problem at all. These problems for him started way before he met her. And I think that's something that happens out there a lot. When the kids that we have become teenagers, they start acting out. And that time we want to look and say, well, somebody's to blame for this, but not me as the parent, because he's a teenager now, he should know better. Well, a child is not going to know better if they're not taught better, right? And he didn't have an opportunity to be taught better because the parents were beefing because they didn't want anything to do with each other, and the child ended up suffering, right? So with that said, he's on probation now. If he makes it through this next month, he's got one more month of probation. If he makes it through that, they're going to expunge his record, and he might have a chance to go to college because he's a phenomenal athlete. They say, and a lot of people are trying to recruit him, but he's on the edge of becoming a college athlete or a convicted felon. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's running the streets. I'm not going to say convicted felon, but somebody that's running the streets and potentially becoming a convicted felon, right? So I wanted you, Udon, to help me with this episode because I wanted you to speak to your experiences as a juvenile, and so that somebody like him and his parents could see that if they don't get it together, if he doesn't get it together, right, what he might be facing and what his life is going to be like, you know what I'm saying, as a juvenile offender if he ends up in the system, right? So with that said, I want to ask you a question, man. What was your first experience like when they locked you up? What did that feel like to you as a child, and what were you thinking?
I was terrified when I heard them bars shut, like it was loud. This is something new. I feel like I'm on my own. This is it.
So when this was at the juvenile facility?
This is at the juvenile facility.
Yeah. So did you think about why are my parents not here? Why are my parents not coming to get me? Did any of those thoughts cross your mind?
Yes, it did. But I knew that even though they wanted to, they can't come get me right now because of the charges that was leveled against me.
Right.
So until a lot of stuff has come around or go about, I knew then I'm here for a second.
Set amount of time. So
yeah.
During that period, though, did you have any problems with depression, anxiety,
yes,
or anything like that?
Yes.
Did you know what you were experiencing? Did you know it was depression? I know at 16, most 16-year-olds don't know what depression is, maybe. Well, today they're a lot more educated, so I'm gonna give them, but back then, I don't think a lot of us, even adults, really understood what depression and anxiety was. So when you were initially locked up in the juvenile facility, did you suffer from depression or anxiety or anything like that? Yeah, so did you, what was it like as far as the depression? How did you feel? Were you lonely, afraid? Did you cry a lot? Anything
yes.
like that? You did?
Yes, I did. I cried, I was sad, frustrated, all those emotions that,
Was there any help for you? Did they have counseling?
No.
Did they have anybody to talk to?
No, there's nobody to talk to us. Or to me, anyways. I was in there. The cell was shut. That's that on that. They come around every 30 minutes to do their little check or come around with the food or whatever.
And what was that like when they come around? Did they ask you how you were doing? Or
No.
Just come around and feed you? And that's
No. When they come around, they don't really say anything. They just make sure you're alive and keep on moving.
So your mental health is really not a concern?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So let me ask you, what was it like What was it like when you got sent to prison? Well, no, back up. What was it like when you were sentenced, and how much were you sentenced to?
I was sentenced to 40 years at 100%.
40 years. And how old were you when you got sentenced to that?
When I got sentenced, I was about a little over 18 years old.
A little over 18 years old. And you got sentenced to 40 calendar years.
At 100%. Yes.
What was the thought? What ran through your mind when you realized that what was going on?
Well, when it finally hit me,
And how long did it take to hit you?
a few hours later when I got back in my cell. It didn't really hit me right then because, you know, it was like, okay, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to get done, finish, or whatever the case is. There was a lot of attention about this case and tension as well. Until I went back to my room, my cell. I was in the cell by myself, and then that's when everything calmed down. The noise went away, and I got a chance to process what just went down, what just transpired. And when it finally hit me, that 40-year sentence at 100%, I felt like, man, I was gonna die. Like, you know, like somebody just hit me in my gut, took the wind up out of me. You know,
like it was over.
Like it was over, like completely over.
Yeah. Wow. And just so that the audience can understand, I want to ask you a couple of questions, and then we're going to get back on the business. But I want them to really get a mental picture of you, right? Because this is an audio, right? How tall are you?
I'm about 5 or 5'2".
About 5'2".
Yeah.
Back then, how much did you weigh?
From 120 to 125.
5'2", weighed 120, 125, right?
Correct.
Right. And a little bit over 18 years old.
Correct.
Getting ready to come into an adult facility.
Correct.
Yeah. Just, I want you to think about that. When y'all listen to this, think about it. Get a picture in your head of udon. You know what I'm saying? So, when you got to prison, when you were sent to prison, what was that like? That first night?
I was terrified because I'm in a room with somebody I don't know, and he is built.
What you mean built?
Like tall and stocky and muscular.
Yeah,
like built. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know anything about him. He could easily outpower me at any given moment. Do whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
so when you got there, did they ask you about who you wanted to live with?
Oh no. No.
They didn't ask you that?
No,
they just told you where you were going to sleep.
Whatever cells available at the time, that's where you're going.
That's it. Right. Okay. So what was that first year like? How did you adjust? Tell me about that. What was your process like?
That first year, I'm just trying to adjust to the culture, the prison culture.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it's not like out there. You know, there's certain bylines and guidelines that the inmates go through or have to do.
The way we live in here.
The way we live, and how the officer they have their own byline and guidelines. So I have to correctly distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
Because if I bypass or cross that line, then I'm gonna get my head knocked off.
Now let me ask this question. Before this encounter that led you to prison, had you ever been locked up before?
No.
So you had no knowledge of what this lifestyle
none whatsoever.
Like at all?
None whatsoever.
Okay. How, as like you said, adjusting to the rules of prison, how difficult was that for you?
I mean, It was difficult because this is something new for me. If you walk wrong, talk wrong, it's like, hey, that that's your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be your life.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be your
Yeah,
life.
you know, you gotta tread lightly. You gotta. It's kind of almost like walking on eggshells.
All the time.
Yeah, you got to be real careful who you talk to, associate with, or who you allow to talk to you as well.
Right.
You know, you just can't say anything to anybody, and I just can't say anything to anybody.
So
You know?
how did you determine who was cool to talk to and who wasn't cool for you to talk to?
Certain people that I've kind of been around for a while, and I how did
you get to know them? I mean, you're by yourself. You don't know anybody, right?
right.
Coming in on your own. So how did you determine that? What led to you saying this guy here is straight, this one is not? What was your process?
In the process of time, I didn't push anything. I didn't go in there and try to make friends or anything. It's just a flow, like the river. You know, I just let things flow. I'm not looking for anything, and just being careful of whoever pushes themselves up on me. You know, that's like a red flag. Just being very attentive and using some of what I've already known when I was on the town or on the street, or what somebody have already advised me or told me
About prison.
about prison.
And what were
Yes.
some of the things that they told you?
Like I said, be careful of who approaches you and who wants to befriend you so quickly. Be careful of accepting things or material things from certain people. Because it can lead. Because it can lead to a whole bunch of stuff. Be careful how people talk to you when you talk to people, stuff like that.
Now, the people that work at the prison, did they sit you down and talk to you? Because I'm sitting here imagining, right?
No, this is straightly from me.
Yeah.
When we come in, they give us this, so-called orientation. Basically just telling us, like it's kind of diluted in my opinion. They didn't really just go in depth of how life is in prison, what could and can happen and stuff like that, but they have advised us like, hey, just be careful who you associate with. That's all and stuff like that,
Right. Let me ask you, how did you being sent to prison affect your family?
Oh, greatly. My family loves me, and I love them. They're hurting and I'm hurting.
Right.
They still hurt now. I miss them and they miss me. Can't wait to get back to them and they feel the same way. Not just that. Other family members and communities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I imagine that.
Yeah,
it's hard on the family.
Yeah.
And I ask you that because I want the parents of this young man that I'm talking about in this episode,
Right.
at the beginning of the episode anyway, I want them to think about their son.
Right.
And how they're going to feel if he ends up in here. I want them to imagine, and any other parent that might be listening to this episode, I want you to imagine what your life is going to be like if your child, the person that you gave birth to, the person that you raised, whether it was directly, indirectly, or not, I want you to imagine what your life is going to be like when they're not there. When you wake up in the morning and cook breakfast, You're not going to be cooking breakfast for them. When you have something special going on like holidays or weddings and graduations, all those things, they're not going to be there. I want them to think about that. So can you give me an example of how your mother, your father, your sister, you know what I'm saying? Give me an example of something that they told you that they wish you were there, that you couldn't be there, and how it affected you.
You know, my parents have grown a little bit older, and they have health issues and stuff like that. You know, there's been times where they needed help, you know, physically, to cook and clean and all that kind of stuff for them. And there's been times, you know, my parents, they still kind of iffy on the English language, and maybe needed me to kind of translate certain medical conditions to the nurse, to the doctors, and about what they are feeling or how they doing and stuff like that, you know. And with my sister and brother, you know, my sister, she got married twice, and I missed both of her wedding. I missed the birth of her kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I missed my sister's graduation, you know, from school, high school, whatever. And, you know, my brother got a child as well. I, you know, miss being there for him and for my nephew and nieces and stuff like that, you know. So there's you know, there's a lot of hurt and pain. There's a lot of stuff that I wish I can take back. Yeah. You know, because because like this is real life. This is not a movie. This is not.
Real quick, I know I probably have a lot of people that ask the question, because a few minutes ago you said something about the English language, the barrier with your parents. Would you mind telling people what your nationality is?
I am Laotian. I was born in Thailand. We came to America in '88.
In '88, right. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, because I'm sure some of y'all will say, wait a minute, okay, why wouldn't they know the English language, so on and so forth? It's not that important to me, but it's be important. It gives people a better, fuller context of the conversation, and that makes me think of something too. What was it like as an Asian coming into the system? You know what I mean? Because mostly in the system you'll see black, white, and Latino. You feel what I'm saying? So here you are, an Asian. Were there any other Asian on the compound?
No.
You were the only one?
Absolutely not. I was the only one.
Oh my goodness.
And man, I've tried to search out any of my, what can I say, kind or ethnicity.
Right, absolutely. You look for somebody who look like you.
Yeah, or speak like me. Nothing. Nobody.
So who did you mostly associate with?
I mostly associate with blacks. They, thank God, very fortunate that they have welcomed me with open arms. They didn't look. Absolutely. They did not drive me away. Drove me away. They treat me bad. They embraced me as like I was one of their own. And you know, I did not know that. You know what I mean? So I didn't see that coming. But thank God for that. Yeah.
Okay, let me get into something. I want to ask you something a little specific, right? Tell me about the first time that you witnessed sticking. Have you ever witnessed somebody being stabbed in here?
I have.
Tell me about that, and what was it like for you?
The first sticking or stabbing that I witnessed, was really like terrible. It did something to me psychologically at first. To see that kind of violence, somebody just getting stuck. I mean, you know.
What do you mean? You said it did something just like explain that.
It's something that I've never saw. I've never saw anything like that, and then people like you just keep on stabbing the man, you know what I'm saying? And I imagine that could have been me, you know what I mean? Like getting stuck like that, you know.
Did you have a pocket knife?
Yes, I did.
How did you come up on a pocket knife?
Somebody.
You were a kid,
Yes.
Okay.
You might not believe this, but like this is how it really went down. As soon as I came to the cell, it wasn't even. As soon as I got to the penitentiary, as soon as I came to my assigned cell, somebody approached me because I guess they saw me with a lot of groceries, meaning commissary. We use commissary as a currency.
Exactly.
In here, so
yeah.
I had a lot of commissary and and had some Christmas packages as well that was sent from the town.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of groceries, and he approached me off the top. Like I didn't go looking for anything.
You don't know him.
I didn't know. I've never seen this guy. I've never seen this cat before. He approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to buy a knife?" You know, it's not a literal knife, but a shank. Yeah. It's kind of like a shank. Ice pick. Penitentiary stuff. You know, but you know, it looked like it'll do the job. Yeah, you know. Somebody approached me and asked me if I wanted to buy it. I'm like, of course. You know, I didn't know nobody. I'm like, I told myself, if I gotta use it, I got to use it. Not that I want to, but not saying that I'm not scared if I gotta use it. But hey, it's like
what it is.
It's what it is. Like do or die. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So when you saw that sticking, it scared you.
Yeah.
You thought that could have been you.
Yeah.
And it messed you up.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Did you have nightmares about it? Did you think about it a lot after that?
I didn't necessarily have nightmares about it, but I thought about it.
Thought about it
from time to time, like, of course, like that was my first sticking.
It'll mess with you.
We've all been
through that, and that's unfortunate that that's something that you're gonna experience here. You're gonna see it.
Yeah, you're gonna see it. Yeah.
You've been here long enough.
You're gonna see it.
You're gonna see it. So the person, did they die or did they live?
Yeah, they didn't die. They lived. He was in critical condition, but thank God he lived. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Because a lot of people ask these types of questions and want to know. As far as, did you ever get into a fight in here? Have you ever been in a fight, you on your own having to fight somebody else? And if you did, what was the circumstances surrounding that? And how did it make you feel?
Yes, I did get in a fight. My first fight, physical fight. Like this is real. This is not a game. My real fight was about some cigarettes.
Okay.
At the time in prison, they sell cigarettes on commissary.
Right.
And at times, there will be a drought.
Yeah.
There would be no cigarettes in the facility until your store day or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had some. And this guy, he came around and wanted some cigarettes or whatever, and because of the drought or whatever, and plus back in the days how I was living,
He was hustling.
yeah, I look at it like, man, I ain't got nothing for you.
Right.
I guess he didn't like my answer. I told, because it was basically no.
Yeah.
Or he might not like the way I said it. I don't know. But I was in my cell. He rushed me. When he rushed me, I kind of fell back and kicked him off me. And then I stood up, and me and him were just fighting in the middle of the cell. He was probably about your height, Joe.
Yeah, I'm about 6'1".
Yeah, but he was like skinny though. He had some long arms.
Yeah.
But me and him was just fighting we was fighting in the cell, like it felt forever. Me and him was just fighting, and then a friend of mine, I don't know how he knew, but later on, he told me that somebody heard it and went downstairs and got him. He came upstairs, running upstairs real fast, and then he had broke up the fight. Mm-hmm. And in a way, I'm kind of like, I'm super glad because, I smoke. I'm tired, you know what I mean?
How old were you then?
I was probably about 20.
Yeah, so you've been in prison a couple of years before your first fight.
Yeah, I was probably about 20. I was tired, and
you smoking cigarettes?
And yeah.
Did you smoke before you came to prison?
Off and on.
Off and on?
Yeah, but coming to prison, I kind of, wanted to deal with my issues. So just trying to find it in something, just trying to cope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Let me ask you one more question, man, because I know a lot of people will ask this question too. You come into the system, you're a child, you're 5'2", 120 pounds, soaking wet.
Right.
So, and I don't want to scare people, but I want people to know the reality of this place. So, did you ever have a situation where anybody tried to rape you?
No.
You never had that happen?
I've never had that happen.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Did you ever have anybody approach you?
No.
So that doesn't happen to everybody.
No, it does not happen.
Tell me why you think it didn't happen to you.
Because I wasn't going, man.
Like they knew that.
Yeah, and then I felt like early in my
in your
incarceration, I think, man, like, not saying I'm big and bad or anything like that. I'm saying I believe early on in my incarceration, I think I drew the line in the sand somewhere.
And how did you do that? What did you have to do to make people understand that you were not going?
I wasn't playing around. I didn't joke around. I didn't joke. I let my answer be yes or yes, no or no. And I had a, it wasn't like that at first, but it was something that I felt like I had to do.
You developed a sternness about
Exactly.
Right? The question that I have for you about that then, were you like that before you got locked up?
No.
You were not this stern person.
No.
But you had to become that person.
Not like I was, because I feel like, man, I had to set my humanity aside. I felt like, man.
Did you understand that at that age? What you
No, not at that age. But yes. In hindsight,
go ahead.
just reflecting now, I had to set my humanity aside. I realized that to survive, it's kind of like a jungle. To survive in that environment, I had to set my humanity aside and act like an animal. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the jungle.
Yeah, it's like, I had to set my emotions aside and kind of became this savage.
To survive. It's not that you wanted to be.
It's not. Yeah. I had to.
Right.
But the thing about that was, though, when I set it aside, I forgot who I was. It changed me. It changed me just like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's when the sternness and the hardness, and that's who I became, kind of like emotionless.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Being like that for too long is not good, especially if you run with a crowd that's encouraged that and does the same thing.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. You feel what I'm saying?
Did your family notice the change in your behavior?
Yeah, they did. They did because of the way at times when I talked to them on the phone. It wasn't right, because
that's who you have become.
Yes, and it got to the point where at times, or probably all the time, I didn't know how to turn it off, or I didn't know how to come back.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
it was just things were just happening so fast, man.
This is what it is.
Yeah, because the place where I was at was like wide open. You know, the facility where I was at, like open.
Anything goes.
Yeah, anything goes. It just opened like a few years ago before I got there. It was still wide open, and it was just everything was just happening so fast, and it was just I was just trying to survive.
You was trying to survive, and part of that was becoming now. Before I close this out, man, tell me how did you come back from that?
You know, Joe, Jesus, man.
Absolutely.
Like, I remembered him when I was in the juvenile. I got saved, or I asked him to be my Lord and Savior as a juvenile. And when I got sick and tired, I remembered him. And I prayed to him. And thank God, like, he remembered me. And that's how I came back. I truly think that if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have come back.
You wouldn't have gotten back. You did that. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
For sharing that. I'm gonna say this to that grandmother that wrote me that letter about her grandson. I appreciate that she did that. I just wanted to touch on those types of things that we talked about because I want people out there to understand that as bad as it may be between the adults, that the most important thing that they should be focusing on are the kids.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Kids, whatever it is, because you do not want them to come in here and become that animal just about. Because everybody doesn't get back.
Don't, man.
This is
Sure
like a
don't.
university here. You come in here and you learn how to be an animal and you take that to the streets with you. And you just lose yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I say, most people don't get back. Thank God that you did. And I would hope that, for that young man that had a grandmother that was so concerned about him that she wrote me and asked me this question, I would hope that he hears this and any other juvenile that is listening to this. I would hope that you would understand that no matter how bad your life may be out there, it'll be worse in here. And if you do feel like you're not getting the help that you need from your parents, go to your grandparents, go to somebody that you trust and ask them, tell them what you're going through. Because you don't want to go through this because you're not going to get the help you think. You know what I'm saying? This is not TV. You know what I'm saying?
It's real life.
This is real life. Udon, I want to thank you again for doing this, man. And I appreciate you. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, the crime critic, and I say peace, y'all.